Hey guys, I hope that you're having an amazing day. So when you think about the book of Jonah, the first thing that you think about is the illustration of a man and a whale. And it wasn't even a whale, maybe salmon or a bass or whiting, but it wasn't a whale, but that doesn't matter. And because we're so overwhelmed with the image of a man that is sitting in a whale, which is not even a whale, but just a random fish, we miss the theme of what's in the 4 chapters of the book of Jonah. And what we see throughout the 4 chapters is God's grace, his mercy, and his compassion. See, God instructed Jonah to go to Nineveh and tell the people who were very wicked to turn from their ways. And Jonah knew the character and the heart of God. He knew if he traveled to Nineveh that the people would turn from their ways and God wouldn't serve judgment against the people. Doesn't that sound like us sometimes? And even though this book is not about us, Jonah felt like the people of Nineveh didn't deserve God's grace and mercy. And sometimes we're like that. We feel as though people may have done us wrong or that they're too far away from God. And we feel like they don't deserve his grace and mercy. See, the one thing that Jonah understood about God was that even though God dealt with the sin of man, he also had the ability to change his mind. And Jonah knew that. So Jonah went the other way. Jonah got caught up in the belly of the fish. And what we see about Jonah is that he began to pray and offer a prayer of thanksgiving. And as you read through chapter 2, one of the things that I love, even when Jonah was offering the prayer of thanksgiving, he said, God, you know me. You have snatched me out of the jaws of the enemy. And this is the last thing that he said or that he understood. He said, but I will offer sacrifices to you with songs of praise, and I will fulfill my vows, for my salvation comes from the Lord alone. See, Jonah knew that he was in a dark place and that he was sitting in the belly of a fish, but he also knew that his salvation only came from the Lord. And watch this, the word of God says, then the Lord ordered the fish to spit Jonah out onto the beach. When Jonah understood where his salvation came from, that is when the Lord delivered him. When Jonah understood where his salvation came from, that is when the Lord delivered him. When you understand that your salvation comes from the Lord will deliver you. When you understand where your salvation comes from, the Lord will deliver you. And as soon as God delivered Jonah, he went to tell the people, listen, turn from your wicked ways. And when he told the people, it was immediately that they turned from their ways. They put on their garments. They begin to pray and they begin to fast. And guess what? God changed his mind concerning the people of Nineveh. But watch this, Jonah became angry. Jonah knew the character of God. He knew that God was loving. He knew that God would extend grace and mercy if those people turned from their wicked ways. And that is something that Jonah didn't want to happen. So watch this. In chapter 4, Jonah was angry at God's mercy. Isn't it crazy that God will send us on a mission as disciples to tell people about who he is and to alert people to turn from their sinful ways. But because we understand who God is, we don't think that God should offer them grace and mercy. Who are we to judge? And then we become angry because God changed his mind concerning them. Not understanding that the same way that God brought us up out of our sin is the same way that God can do the same thing for them, and that they too deserve grace and mercy. Watch this. The word of God said, Jonah became angry and he separated himself. He went to go sit in the scorching sun. And look at what God did. God used a leaf to cover him. And Jonah began to be thankful for the leaf. And then God sent a worm to eat the leaf and then sent scorching sun. And then Jonah became angry at the leaf because the leaf withered away. And he said, listen to God. He said, listen, I would rather die. And this is what God showed him. You are more concerned about the leaf than you are about the people. Watch this. He said, is it right for you to be angry because the plant died? And yes, Jonah retorted, even angry enough to die. The Lord said, you feel sorry about the plant. Though you did nothing to put it there, it came and died quickly. But Nineveh has more than 120,000 people living in spiritual darkness, not to mention all the animals. Shouldn't I feel sorry for such a great city? Jonah was more concerned about a plant than he was about people. Jonah was more concerned about a plant, temporary, than he was about people, eternal. When you look at the book of Jonah, God has shown his grace, his mercy, and compassion towards a sinful people. And what he is trying to teach Jonah is that when you deal with people like they are temporary, like the plant, you will not be able to show them what eternity looks like. So go and do the mission. Do exactly what God called you to do. Because when you are more concerned about what is temporary, you will miss what is eternal. And that is what the book of Jonah is about. Don't be so focused on what is temporary. Don't be so focused on judging people. Don't be so focused on worrying about what punishment somebody should get, because everyone is deserving of God's grace, his mercy, and his compassion. And when we look at the book, we see that everything is pointing towards eternity and that God has everyone, regardless of their sinful nature, in mind. Friends, God cares about you and he wants you to experience a life with him. Have a winning day, and I hope today is kind to you.